Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and it is always a good day when my longtime friend and colleague is in the studio, Laura Tancredi-Baese. She is the CEO of Homestart. How you doing, Laura?
I'm doing great, Drew. How are you? And so nice to see you again.
It's always good to see you. And I was telling Charles this, I'm a business partner and the CEO and founder of Cloudcast Media, that I think you've almost been on as long as I've been doing this. We started in 2007 at the Union Tribune. I'm pretty sure you were there almost from the beginning, were you not? Does that sound about right?
I remember. Yeah, right. I'm coming up on 18 years at Homestart.
Okay.
And I remember having an interview with you at the UT building. So,
I know, yeah. Exactly. We're joined by my co-host, Shrezi Mukund. She is going to be co-hosting the show throughout the summer. And we'll be learning all the props of being an associate producer and so forth. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, we're honored to have you on here. So why don't we get started? What's the mission of Homestart?
Well, the mission of Homestart for about 53 years now has been around preventing child abuse and neglect and strengthening families that have most of the risk factors. So we touch about 20,000 lives every year in San Diego. And so our mission is assuring the safety and resiliency of children. And we do that by strengthening families and communities.
Yeah, we always ask this question. It wouldn't be an interview with you and me if I don't ask this question. San Diego, not the easiest place to live when it comes to finances. We know that causes some of the stress on families as well. Are the numbers flattening? Are they going up in terms of families in need or kids in need? Are they going down? Where are we?
Well, I think, you hit it on the head there. So financial impact, San Diego is one of the most expensive places to live on our wonderful country. So families living in poverty, it's more challenging, it's more difficult. And so poverty is closely connected to other kinds of issues, unemployment, which adds to stress, which can also add to child abuse and neglect. So when the economy is really challenging, the families we're serving are more challenging. We're not seeing any reduction in the need for our services right now.
Right. So, you've been doing this for quite a while at Homestart. And do you see that you're seeing the same families come in again, or we know, unfortunately, abuse is sometimes inherited, I guess, in some ways. It's cyclical. If you've been abused as a child, and doesn't mean you're going to abuse as a father or a mother, but there's a good chance there's going to be some challenges in that area, is there not?
Absolutely. I think, there are cycles of abuse, neglect, poverty, and so we learn from our parents. And then, of course, if we have an opportunity for education, then we learn new things. And, we have amazing programs with incredible, dedicated staff who use evidence-based models. So that shows that they've been proven to be effective to teach parents, how to be better parents, or to help these parents whose children have experienced some sort of trauma, to help them work through the trauma. So we believe education is key, early intervention whenever possible, but when not, we hire staff that are highly trained and have that capacity and knowledge to help these families and these children do better. Yeah,
and one of the things, if I've learned anything from you, is the fact that your goal is not to separate families. Your goal is to strengthen the families and to give them the tools to be better at what they're doing, correct?
Absolutely. And, most children want to be with their own families, right? And so if we can teach those parents how to be better and help them how to manage and parent in a healthier way, then those families can be reunited. In fact, we have some contracts. One of our contracts is with, the child welfare system when they figure out one of those calls might come in through the hotline and they determine that a nonprofit program could be helpful to the family. We do intensive home visitation services, and our staff, again, are trained in this model. And so we can turn most of those families around. We also have a program that's supervised visitation. So that is a child that has been removed from the home. The Child Welfare Services determines that's the right course. And we have staff that are trained in a supervision model. So they have visits with the parent, and those parents are learning how to be a better parent. And so good results on that one too.
That's great. Shrizzy, you have a question for Laura?
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about your Blue Ribbon Gala and what it does?
Absolutely, Tracy. Yeah, I'd love to tell you about it. So it's our biggest fundraiser of the year. So April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and the Blue Ribbon started back in the 80s. I think a grandmother who had lost her grandchild because of child abuse started the Blue Ribbon Awareness Campaign, which is the Child Abuse Awareness Campaign. So we usually have our event in April, but this year it's going to be on May 3rd, and it's at a beautiful property in North County, Rancho Valencia Resort. And it's going to be my last gala because I'm retiring here in a little bit. So it'll be at least as the CEO. Of course, I'll keep attending as a guest in the future, but it's it's going to be a special night. It has an Italian theme because my grandparents are from Italy. So
wow.
Charles got that.
Yeah, Charles is all, when you mention the word Italy or Italia or anything.
Charles is all in on that. Yeah.
All in times 80.
So it's a big fundraiser. We're going to have a beautiful dinner. People are going to be greeted with a nice glass of Italian Prosecco and beautiful dinner. There's a silent auction, a live auction. There's a raise a paddle for funds that are going to go to help our children and families. And it's going to be a beautiful night. Sue Palmer band, if anybody's ever heard Sue Palmer.
She is absolutely the best boogie woogie piano player in, I'm going to say the world. Rather.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure. So let me ask you this. And you sort of surprised us a little bit on this one, right? You retiring?
Yeah, it's time. It's time to slow down a little bit, spend some more time with my grandchildren.
Do you have a date?
Well, they're in the search right now, so I'm not leaving San Diego, obviously, or anything. So I'm going to make sure there's a really seamless transition. So they have a search going. They've kind of they're narrowing the field down, and they're doing a very thorough vetting process so that next person can take Homestart to the next place. And of course, there'll be a nice knowledge transfer between me and that new CEO.
So that person will be hired before the 3rd?
Not sure.
Right.
They're not in a rush, but that'd be ideal at least if we could announce them. But if not, we'll have some kind of a community event that people can come and attend to say ciao to me and say hello to the new CEO.
Nah. So does that mean that the last Halloween event I was at, which I think was in the fall, was your last Halloween event?
That was my last Halloween as the CEO.
You're holding back on me, Laura.
But I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to go as a guest next time and have a really good time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit different. Shirezi has a question for you.
Great.
I was wondering, what inspired you to start Homestart and bring awareness to child abuse and kind of take action on it?
Thanks for asking that, Tracy. I didn't start it, so I've been there almost 18 years, and we've been around for 53 years. But I did start the housing program, so I can answer that question because there really was no housing at Homestart. And what I found as I was getting to learn the staff and the programming, especially our home visitation program, that we were seeing about 600 women in the home who had risk factors for child abuse or neglect, who were pregnant. And when I asked the staff what some of the challenges were, they said housing. So many of these women are unstably housed. They're either couch surfing or in a domestic violence relationship or in an overcrowded household where they were sleeping on the floor, et cetera. Section 8 wait list is about 10 years still. So I started the housing program specifically to help young women, transition age young women between the ages of 18 and 24, who are pregnant or parenting and were homeless or about to become homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And so that program's really grown. It's such an important part of the work that we do, and that you have to stop that cycle. So this is helping us to stop that cycle. And we know the brain is, fully kind of baked, they say, around 25, 26 years old. So we're able to do some early intervention before some of those situations become chronic. We're trying to be on the early end of homelessness so we can help these mothers and children not continue that cycle.
That's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah,
if you want to come for a tour sometime, we'd be happy.
No,
to
yes.
you absolutely should do that. It's just an amazing group, and I think, Laura, we talk about this all the time. That certainly you're working with those families and those kids that are exposed to some of the neglect. And I want to reiterate something that you and I talk about all the time. Child abuse doesn't necessarily mean physical.
Right.
It can be you're totally neglected. You could be you're yelled at, or you're debunked, or you're criticized.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. The many forms of it.
Yeah, I think most people think of physical, but
Right.
of course there's neglect, which some
Right.
theories say that that's even worse, than physical, is a child getting no attention or very little attention, and their basic needs not being met. So some thoughts of children feel like, at least I'm being hit, I'm being paid attention to. So neglect is a really critical issue that we address, and we really focus on bonding and attachment and the importance of connection between parent and child. Of course, there's sexual abuse, which is
Right.
Horrific, and
Right.
It's common in many cultures, including ours. And fortunately, we're talking about it more, and we're addressing it
As
more,
we should.
as we absolutely have to, and bring that forward and train children and teach them to speak up if something's wrong.
Right.
I would say psychological, emotional abuse, the yelling, the name calling, you can see the effects of that as well.
Yeah. We're chatting with our good friend Laura Tancredi-Baese. She is this retiring CEO. Can't believe she just sprung this on us earlier today.
Soon, but not until they find the right person.
Not till they find the right person. Hopefully that'll take 10 years. So, and you hope it takes not that long. At Homestart Inc., I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the longest running community podcast. We're now in our 19th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Just doing great things in San Diego County for more than 6 decades, whether it's focused on financial literacy, or it's food insecurity, or Michigan's done a great job, joined by my co-host, Tracy, who is right off to a fine start as a co-host. She's going to be doing some associate producing for us as well. Laura, you served, 22,000 individual folks in 2024?
I think we touch about that many lives each year through our wide variety of programs, everything from, a light touch where we might have a phone call, it's an information referral, they need certain resources. We help make those connections to, very deep, long-term commitments. Some of our home visitation programs are 3 years long. Of course, our housing programs are on a continuum from sort of short-term all the way to permanent supportive housing, which has no specific time limit. So, we touch people in the way that they need the intervention. So understanding the need, finding the right resource, and then making the change happen.
Yeah, talking about your Blue Ribbon Gala, it's going to be on May 3rd at the beautiful Rancho Valencia Resort and Spa. How do you get tickets?
Well, we're actually sold out right now. So
very nice. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, which is a nice problem to have. But
I can't sneak in then. Is that right?
Not at this point, but we're taking names and we're putting them on the wait list.
All
and
right.
so, we're continuing to talk to all of our sponsors and all the people that have bought those tickets to say, let us know if you have anybody changing their mind, because then we'll open those seats up, because it's going to be a pretty special night, but people can still support us in other ways. We're actually looking at starting a fund at our Jewish Community Foundation specifically to address the needs of young women and mothers and children. So if they can't make the event, they'd like to make a contribution to our fund, we'd certainly be grateful for that. And we're happy again to provide tours for people who are interested in our work. They can see our housing program and our social enterprise thrift store as well.
Yeah, we come back from break. Let's talk about some of those iconic programs that you folks have, community services, for families, behavioral health services, and so forth. And then, as we always do, as you know, you're a veteran on the Spotlight Show. What can we do to help support the organization? We would say go to the gala, but that's beautifully sold out. But as you mentioned, there's many other ways to support Homestart when we return with Laura Tancredi-Baese, the CEO, right after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are chatting with Laura Tancredi-Baese. She is the CEO of Homestart, joined by my co-host, Shrezy. How are you enjoying this, Shrezy?
I'm really enjoying it. It's really great to see the action being taken to address child abuse and neglect, and I know it's an extremely prevalent issue, so thank you so much for all your efforts.
Yeah, do you have a question for her?
Yeah, I was wondering, this effort, how do you do your outreach programs? What events do you host year-round, and how do you organize them, and how can the community know about them to come help support?
Great question, Tracy. Great question. And so I would say, of course, there's our website. So it's www.home-start.org. And so we list all of our resources and services. We have two kind of major events, and I think Drew mentioned the other one. So we have our Blue Ribbon Gala, which we're coming up on, and then in October we have our Halloween Fall Festival, which is held at a beautiful oceanfront resort, private estate of one of our major donors, and that's a taste of event. And that's, we have room for lots of people at that venue, so it doesn't sell out like the gala would or has at times. So that's a great place to participate. We accept donations of any kind, really. So time, treasure, or talent. So in fact, last time I was on the show, I met this lovely woman who was a painter.
That's right.
And she donated some beautiful paintings to our silent auction. Volunteers, we have a great volunteer coordinator. So I think we had about 360 volunteers helping us this last year. Mm-hmm. And then a donation of any size really is going to help us. Anything from, $5 to $5 million if you want to help us buy that next property for housing. So I think, there are a lot of ways to get involved. And, we have a cleanup project getting planned too. So sometimes certain groups want to come and help us with some painting projects, things like that, because we own 5 properties that are housing for our young mothers and children. And so we have different groups that planted a garden recently, painted a fence, or if you want to just be a one-time volunteer at the event, maybe sit behind one of our auction tables and tell the guests about this great trip that they can bid on. So there's a lot of ways to help us. Yeah.
One of the things that you and I always chat about is you got to speak up. And we know not that easy if you were the child that's facing this, but you got to have some courage. Easier said than done. We know that. But you also need to speak up if you are brother, a sister, an aunt, or uncle of the people who are doing the abuse. And listen, it's the only way they're going to get better if they get some help from you folks. Certainly, it puts the kids at risk if you don't. I imagine there's a hotline people can call if they want to call confidentially.
Of course, yeah. The County of San Diego has a child abuse hotline, and it is for suspected child abuse reporting. And first of all, it's completely confidential. So if you're a relative, you're like, I can't let my sister-in-law know I'm calling about her because I see her losing her temper. So, of course, it's confidential and it's suspected. So you call that hotline, and it's listed on our website, and you share what you've noticed. It could even be a neighbor, like the little girl across the street. I'm noticing she's wearing the same outfit day after day after day. I noticed her looking in our trash can the other day and her pulling out and half of a sandwich that I had tossed out. So I think it's important if you notice something in a child's behavior, you overhear something, that it's okay to pick up the phone and let the authorities know, let the experts know what you've noticed, and then they will do, the reporting and the investigation, and your name is confidential.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, as we've talked over the years, that in a good sign, more and more people are feeling comfortable to speak out. When you talk about, we're having a rise in these cases, well, that's because most people are aware of them now, and they're reporting them now, which is a good thing. So it's not,
absolutely,
it's not under the surface.
And there's a lot of positive healing that can happen. In fact, I was talking to one of our staff in our housing program, and she shared that she had gone through a really rough period and that she was involved with child welfare services about 10 years earlier, and how much it helped her, and that she's now, has that lived experience. So she's able to talk to our clients about managing anger, frustration, dealing with trauma, managing, this history of violence when you didn't learn better skills and tools. And she's one of our top staff now. So there's hope, there's healing, there's resources out there. Don't be afraid to get them.
Understand. What's your first five? First steps program?
Yeah, first 5 first steps program is home visitation. So it's intensive home visitation. So we work with families for up to 3 years. So our staff are bilingual, bicultural. They really become a part of that family, and they teach sort of in-depth kind of child development knowledge, how to bond and connect to children, how to manage challenging behaviors. And so they also have the cultural awareness and understanding, because some of these families are coming from other countries. Some are military families, some are teen parents, and some are lower income families that are struggling. So that's a very long-term program. And the graduation's a lot of fun. A bunch of 3-year-olds in caps and gowns. It's pretty amazing.
That's great. We're chatting with Laura Tancredi-Baese. She is the CEO of Home Start. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the longest-running community podcast in the nation, now in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of just doing great things. Honored to have as a co-host Shrazy, who is a Scripps Ranch High School student, but is way beyond her years over here. She's well on her way to podcast fame down the road. Shrazy, I know you have a question for Laura.
Can you tell us what your most significant challenges today are for those that you serve?
That's a great question, Tracy, and I think it's complicated, right? So we know that some of the things we're looking at, poverty, child abuse, homelessness, trauma, they're complex issues, and so there's no easy solution for any one of those. So I think now seeing the climate of the economy, people that are struggling are going to be hit first, and so we have to be comprehensive in our approaches. I think that's one answer, is one size does not fit all. And in the olden days, when we thought of homelessness, right, we thought of just a male who was, traveling on the railroads, right? And we called them hobos. And so now, of course, we know homelessness is way more complicated than that.
Yeah.
It's impacted a lot of individuals, families, young people. We have some funding. We're helping youth who are coming out of homelessness and domestic violence. Some of our programs are specifically for housing for domestic violence. And so I think that the answer is it's complex, and you have to have a holistic approach when you're providing help. So you have to look at the economics. You have to look at their strengths as well as their challenges and barriers, and see each person, each family as an individual. And some are just needing little small help, right? Like we have some programs that we find that if we can just pay the rent and the security deposit for certain individuals or families, they have an employment, and we're just helping them get into that next unit. Mm-hmm. And then some, of course, have much more significant mental, emotional, traumatic background that it's going to take a longer time.
Yeah, and I think, and part of it, Tracy, that is great. What Homestart does is there's a trust factor. They've been doing this for quite a while, 50 plus years. And Laura, you and I talk about this, especially with the kids that maybe turn into teenagers and now are young adults. When they're in a situation of abuse or neglect, it's tough for them to trust adults. I don't blame them in that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. How do you work with the students to try to, or the kids that have been subject to abuse and neglect, to start trusting again? Or that's got to be tough.
It's huge. It makes sense that you wouldn't trust individuals when you've had that experience. So I get the pleasure of supervising a social work intern, one each year, and so the young woman I'm working with right now, she really gets the importance of rapport, bond, and connection. So you have to make an effort to understand that person, right? And so she knows trust is huge. And so how do you develop trust? How do you prove to someone that I am here for you? Like I like to say, I'm your person, in this journey you have with Homestart. And you can trust me to do what's best for you and to be honest with you. And that takes time, but the rapport building, and she's very good at it. And I think you can't just jump in and say, all right, we're going to change your life. Here we go. Here's what you're going to do. It's a connection. It's a bond. It's a rapport building that leads to healing and hope.
Right. What's the website? So if people can get engaged with you, they can support you, they can volunteer for you. And I know it's a little bit of a different animal because these are very specific things dealing with kids and health issues. But there you have events. You can probably use people to help out at
all
events.
The time. Yeah.
Right. What's the website?
It's www.home-starts.org.
Well, listen, congratulations on your imminent retirement. Not quite there yet, but you will be. And promise you'll come back on even though you're retired and just chat about what you're doing. And
what an honor that would be. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'd be honored in that aspect of it. You've been a delight to chat with over these years and always have some great content. And what you've done, the lives you've changed, and the lives of the family members of the people you've changed is just monstrous. And I just can't thank you enough. It's not an easy field to do it, and you've done it with a great class and so forth and dignity. And we appreciate you, Laura.
You're going to make me cry. So thank you for your kindness. I have an amazing staff that really, are doing the work each and every day. So it's been an honor to have this work and to know you and to be invited year after year after year. So.
And we won't stop that. Laura Tancredi-Baese, she is the CEO of Homestart. They got their big event coming up, the Blue Ribbon Gala. Keep an eye out on it. Right now it's sold out, but there may be some opportunities that's on in the 3rd. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the longest running community podcast in the nation, 19 years, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County. Just honored to have as my co-host. Shrazy did a terrific job. Did you enjoy it?
I truly did. Thank you so much for letting me sit as a part of this, and it was really a great experience to meet you as well, Laura. Thank you so much for the work you do.
Such an honor to meet you, Tracy. I look forward to seeing you soar. You're going to be amazing, whatever you do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we always use this a moniker on our Spotlight show, Laura, as you well know. We could say we knew Shrazy when.
Exactly.
So very, very good. For our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.